Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
I don't know. Now I'm angry about concentration spells.
Do you guys think that there is a way that concentration spells could be turned into instants? Where maybe like the effect is modified in some way where it would happen just one turn instantaneously, but then it's burned. Or you can choose to maintain concentration, which modifies the effects, maybe like a lesser initial damage or utility effect that then continues on.
I can see it being done. Would I want to do it? No. Would I love to see a fan do it? Yeah.
For concentration spells, flavor-wise, it makes sense. The wizard's trying to hold a spell, someone hits them in the face, and they're like, oh, crap, I have to keep holding that spell. Flavor-wise, it makes sense, but the problem is wizards or spellcasters in general have the issue with resource management during their turn. Fighter, they just punch someone, it's done. Spellcaster, they have to do all their resource management on top of trying to figure out their concentration spell, and time is just wasted every turn trying to deal with that.
Can I just say that all of us have presented a different point about just how we don't like concentration spells.
Beck was right.
I don't mind
concentration spells.
I also like them.
I think they're okay as they are.
I like instant
gratification.
I think, and this is definitely coming from a biased point of view, but it's really similar to in competitive Pokemon when you bring a Pokemon that has rest. You put yourself to sleep to heal yourself all the way up, and then you spend turns of sleep, which keeps your move count up. You essentially can outstall your opponent. It's a similar effect where if you have an ongoing effect that you don't have to continuously spend slots for, you can, if you're in a duel against a rival spellcaster, then you're going to outlive them with your spells. They're going to be reduced to punching you before you have to punch them.
If there's someone in the comments that could explain that to me, please.
I'll explain off, Mike.
I think my biggest issue with concentration spells, it's such an investment. Because generally they are like, okay, this is our oh crap button. We're going to hit it. And if that fails, then you're just boned.
See, and I don't see concentration spells as being that oh crap button. I see them as being a starter to a battle, and then you step back. You cast Fairy Fire, and then you try to keep your fighters up where they're more able to hit those that are vulnerable now. Or you cast
You just look at a list of
fog cloud, and you end up using that as a way of escaping. You have to have something that's prolonged until you need it to not be.
So the difference in that is those are first level spells, especially like Fairy Fire. That is not as much of an investment. But if you're using one of if you're willing to spend the spell slots, I think you should be able to not either have to make concentration spells or have it be easier to hit that AC or DC. Just because if you have a 4th level spell slot and that's your one that you have total right now, and you're willing to spend it on a spell, I feel like it should work.
But at the same time, you're using your proficiency modifier and your constitution, and with that generally, especially if you're built for concentration spells, you're using Warcaster. You're using things that will give you advantage.
That's a feat you have to invest in, though.
But you're just trying to hit a DC 10 90% of the time.
Realistically, too, when you have access to those higher level spells, you have other sources of damage mitigation, or you have potentially the ASIs that you need to maybe put 1 or 2 into Constitution and make that roll a little easier. It's also, going back to what Brian was saying, the casting concentration at the beginning of a combat is efficient for a min-maxer point of view as well. If you have something that has a set number of turns that goes continuously, you want that off as soon as you can so you can focus on doing other things. It's the same as buffs. You want to get buffs off right at the start of a fight and then go in.
I just want to take a fun moment to say, does everybody know their favorite concentration spell?
Mine currently is polymorph, but just because it's hilarious.
Polymorph is a good choice.
Banishment's always a good choice. Like,
That's pretty good. I don't have a concentration spell.
Conjure wooden beings.
fuck off with that.
No, Brant? You got one?
No, I don't really
I'll
have
say
it.
mine. Mine is Searing Smite. Because yes, it is a concentration
Yeah, it
spell.
is.
It's just one that I use almost immediately after.
A lot of the smites are, actually.
Yeah.
It's the best part.
Aegis would probably say his favorite concentration is Detect Magic, but I'd probably have to say Bless myself.
Oh,
I'm surprised it wasn't Spirit Guardians.
That's
Yeah.
also a good one.
Fairy Fire is a good one.
Or
Very
Spiritual... Oh, Spiritual Weapon's not a fucking concentration spell.
That's not-
God, it's the best spell.
For healing, I do like Aura of Vitality.
That's a good one.
Like, that was such a clutch move, like 90% of the time. It was just
Yeah.
like, oh, you're at 0, well, now you're not. And that doesn't waste anything on my turn other than a bonus action.
right. Well, that's the other thing, is that then you don't have to worry about casting another spell. You can continue to heal. You can continue to do.
And it's not that they stop you, like, it makes sense to me that you can only have one going at a time.
Right.
The biggest issue is how big of a target. It often makes non-focused down characters.
Those characters should be focused more, and you know it.
I mean, that's not their purpose. Like, theoretically, I don't think 5e has enough backing to have tanks being like, other than command duel and things like that that can shut down the front lines. It makes it difficult for a spellcaster to just be like left out. If somebody wants to jump them, they're going to get jumped.
You know you hit the nerd first.
Always.
That's rule one.
But also at the same time, if you're playing a nerd and you have the big beefcake in front of them too, you have to make both of them a threat. So if you're going after one, you're going to get screwed over by the other, and if you go after the fighter, the wizard's going to kill you. If you go after the wizard, the fighter's going to kill you. You have to make them both equal threats.
Well, and honestly, in terms, at least when I end up DMing, I know that I can't get to the back line. I can't get to those people who are using concentration spells. And so if you have the right setup party, then the concentration spells, they're just an extra small little thing. But if you don't have the right setup party, then yeah, you're in some deep shit, and you need to try to figure out how to get yourself out of there, and maybe that's what you need to be spending resources on instead. So I find that the concentration, it seems to work out. Yes, it puts a bigger target on them, but maybe you can't actually go after that target yet, just because you have to deal with those that are in front of you.
It's rough when the front line has Sentinel, isn't it?
That's why the front line always has Sentinel.
Yeah.
To answer the question, I don't really play concentration casters.
Same. I don't play casters.
I actually enjoy concentration casters.
Hypnotic pattern.
Casters can be fun.
Fair.
I enjoyed the warlocks. I enjoyed
Comments?
the druids that end up playing concentration spells. That's what they're there for.
See, I enjoy playing sorcerers, which have other means of restoring their spell slots. And I enjoy playing characters that are mixed, so I don't have to constantly do damage with spells. I can do it with other things. You know what's a cool concentration spell that I've never tried, but now I want to? Zephyr Strike. Zephyr Strike.
You mean True Strike?
No, Zephyr Strike.
Zephyr Strike.
What edition
For a
is that
single
from?
bonus action, the caster's movement no longer provokes opportunity attacks for the duration. Additionally, the caster may give themselves advantage on one weapon attack before the spell ends, which deals an extra 1d8 force damage. When this attack is made, the caster's speed increases by 30 feet for the turn.
I've done that one before.
Alright, it's closing time. Feel free to stay out in the stables. If you like what we had to talk about, hit that like button. If you want to see what we have in store next, hit that subscribe button as well. Check out our social media in the description below for more of our content. Have any suggestions? Leave it in a comment below.